Hey YouTube world, welcome to our channel. This is the Grumpy Old Guy Productions. This is meant to be as an informal intro. We do not plan to go live or be formal until somewhere early to mid-June. I say we. This channel is a collaboration between myself, my eldest son, and my eldest daughter. I will be going by the name of Triak. That is a name that I've used for many years now in online gaming. My eldest son, I don't know what name he'll go by yet, but he's currently going by Space Ape. And my eldest daughter goes by Bottled Smile. My eldest daughter plays Minecraft and some Call of Duty. My son and I both play a little bit of Warzone. Not saying that we're good, but we do play some. So on the channel we will have some gameplay. However, the channel is not going to be limited to just the gameplay. My son and I plan on doing some podcast style content, and that's all to come. Right now, as you can see, I'm not running a webcam. This is very new to us. We've never done streaming before. So we're trying to broaden our horizons, share our interests, and between now and June, we hope to have in place the hardware, software, systems that we can actually give some content with some thought. We have a lot of learning to do in terms of the systems, in terms of the software. We have a lot of work to do in terms of setting up accounts at different platforms. So that's all to come. Today's episode or podcast, or whatever you want to call it, is simply a means of testing what we have so far, learning the ropes in terms of video editing and uploading, working with the audio. Right now, we do not have the microphones we want. We don't have the webcams we want, the lighting, things of that nature. And that'll come with time. And then we also have a distance factor to figure in. Myself and my eldest daughter, we live in the KC, Kansas City area, while my eldest son, he lives in the Phoenix area. So we have to overcome and figure out the best systems to use and the most stable systems to be effective in the quality that we're going to try to go for. We will give a more formal introduction leading up to our official debut. Until that happens, we're just going to continue to post little things, little tests like this, and try to learn as we go. So in today's episode, what I'm doing is basically just learning what we're doing and experimenting. And I thought I would cover a basic topic. So this past week in traveling to work, I was listening to radio and heard a couple headlines that kind of caught me, and it made me stop and think about really the insanity that we're dealing with. Not just in the West, but it's nationwide. But to me, the insanity is it's just crazy. Let me pull up a website here. So out in the Bay Area, they are trying to pass legislation that will ban natural gas use for heating your home, hot water heaters. They have spoken about banning natural gas for use in cooking stoves, as you know, this same type of debates taking place up in Washington State. I'm sure it's in Oregon as well. But and I realize it doesn't get as cold in California, especially like the Bay Area, as it does in the Midwest or the northern regions of the United States, upper Northeast. But I think this last week has demonstrated that it yes does get cold, especially in higher elevations. So heating your home or business, that's an essential. Banning natural gas, that doesn't leave you a lot of options for heating. And you can type in Google just like I did here and just read story after story of why they want to do it. And yeah, I get it. Trying to clean up the air, that's a good thing. We do need to be conscious of the earth and the air we're breathing. But phasing out natural gas and hot water heaters, um, what resources are you going to fall back on? Electricity. So California, in the last several years, in particular, has dealt with some pretty big issues in terms of rolling blackouts. Right? Rolling blackouts. What is a rolling blackout? Lack of electricity. Too many people are using electricity. But yet they want to ban the use of natural gas for heating. They want to ban it for warming up your water. And the debates on the table for cooking with it. Isn't that going to force people to be more prone or have to use electricity to heat their water to heat their house. Never mind the fact that they're banning the sale of internal combustion engine cars in California by the year 2020 or 2035, which is going to put more electric cars on the road. And electric cars have to do what? They have to be plugged in to charge. Where are they getting electricity? Guess what? 38% of California's electricity comes from natural gas. 38%. This comes from California's Energy Commission. So we're going to ban the use of commercial use gas, hot water heaters, furnaces. And from what I've been reading, I didn't read through all of it, but I did hear reports this last week that it wasn't just commercial, that it would be new home construction by 2027 as well. New building construction would be leaving out natural gas options for homes and apartments and things of that nature. So you leave out the natural gas for homes, businesses, you plug in more cars, and you turn around and burn more natural gas, because that's 38% of the state's production of power comes from natural gas. That's a large chunk. It's the biggest of any. If you look at the chart, that's the biggest of anything that they do. Now here's coal at 3%, nuclear's at 9%, large hydros at 9%. Then you go into the renewables, solar at 14, and wind at 11. I don't see how California thinks that they are going to get these renewables up to sustainables, 33% right now, in 2 years. How they're going to get this high enough to compensate and overcome this 38%. It's just crazy. I just want to throw that out there. Think about. Obviously, we want to do things that are right. Or global warming is real, but it's not 100% man-made, and it's not as bad as what people want to think it is. There's too many scientific facts that prove otherwise. Especially if you start going back in the history of the Earth, it's not as bad as what the mainstream media want to lead us to believe. As with all things in life, there should be a balance, and right now the balance is not there. And pushing 100% for wind, solar, hydro, a lot of that depends on where you live. Here, where I live at, we're not going to have much in terms of geothermal. We have a lot of small hydros. We have some wind and very limited solar, but obviously wind and solar, when the wind doesn't blow, you don't get wind. When it's cloudy, you get very limited solar, if any. California is bright and sunny. They got waves. They maybe need to look at wave generation, but they live on the ocean and haven't even figured out how to efficiently desalinate water for water usage. It can be done, but they don't know how to do it efficiently. That's just something to throw out there, think about, pros and cons. You tell us what you think. Are the people in California, the legislation, are they just nuts? Or are they just literally trying to kill the average American or the middle class people and lower with the taxes and everything that they're doing to push the agenda of this utopia that, in all honesty, does not exist because it's too extreme. The utopia, whether they like to admit it or not, is actually in the middle somewhere, and that requires some give and take. That requires conceding. I mean, you can't have everything. That utopia does not exist. It could exist for a select few, those few being the multimillionaires. If they were all gathered in one place, they could create their own little utopia because they could afford to. But the reality of the matter is that 1%, that doesn't work for the other 99% of us, does it? So I would leave you with that. In closing, just leave comments. Tell me what you think in terms of a balance to make sure where we should be, where we are now, possible solutions, and ultimately, time frames. We can't do this go green now overnight. The infrastructure is not there. California doesn't have energy production capabilities to do what they're trying to do, let alone nationwide. We cannot put up enough solar and wind to compensate for the use of coal or natural gas or nuclear at this time. Nuclear is some of the cleanest that we can actually run right now. The modern day coal power plants are 99.8% cleaner than they were just 20 years ago, 30 years ago. That doesn't make it 100% clean, but killing an entire industry with the pretense that we're going to replace it with renewables that we don't have the technology fully in place. We don't have the infrastructure in place. It's just not going to happen. Not anytime in the next 20 to 30 years. We appreciate your time. We look forward to producing some meaningful content going forward. We have a lot of learning to do. We have a lot of fine tuning. We have to find ourselves as a group, try to refine what we're doing. And aside from refining it, we want to make it as lighthearted as possible, cover meaningful content, and we want to touch on the topics that matter, as well as maybe bring in some subject matter experts from time to time, and just create that open dialogue, that open debate. A truly, we're looking for a truly non-biased, open dialogue. You just can't really find that on the mainstream media. You can find it here on YouTube somewhat, just like find extreme left and extreme right. But we do want to find that middle ground. That's what we're looking for, and we want to be open with it, have some fun with it, make it a little bit lighthearted, and just make it easier to talk about some of these items, as well as put out the reality of it, which is not what the media is giving us. So with that, I'll leave you, and certainly appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Over the course of time, we want to grow, and we can't do that without support. We're not looking to, honestly, we're not looking to make a buck on this. We're not looking for 1 million subscribers just so we can be YouTube rich famous. We're not looking for that, and that's not our expectations. Like I said earlier, it's a collaboration. We want to learn new things, new softwares, and just work together as my kids are young adults, and I'm the grumpy old guy. And there's a reason for being grumpy. Just look around. All right, well, thanks for listening. Join us again for our next episode.